believed my toxic mother that my sister cheated with my husband, not knowing the truth I did it. My husband is cheating on me. The signs are glaring. He's turned off his location tracker, ignores me, and offers a barrage of excuses. Late nights, sudden meetings, traffic jams. It's clear. Yet I don't know who he's with. The fear of another woman haunts me, making me feel like a stranger in my own life. I confided in my mother, hoping for comfort. Instead, she mentioned my younger sister Emma was also acting suspiciously. Late nights, secrets, an eerie parallel. The suggestion that Emma could be involved felt like a slap. She and my husband have always gotten along well, but now those shared laughs and inside jokes replay in my mind with new meaning. This morning, I confronted Emma. My accusations were met with fury. She denied everything, calling me an insecure mess. Her anger and dismissal stung deeply. In desperation, I mentioned our mother had noticed the same patterns. Now, my mother is furious, claiming I dragged her into something she wanted no part of. My older sister, Ray, has distanced herself, refusing to take sides. It feels like I'm losing everyone close to me. The hours after confronting Emma were agonizing. My husband didn't come home last night. My messages went unanswered. Every scenario that played out in my head felt worse than the last. The weight of it all is unbearable, especially as I'm 37 weeks pregnant. The baby I carry, a symbol of the love we once shared, now feels like a cruel reminder of what's slipping away. The stress is affecting my health. My blood pressure is dangerously high, and the swelling in my hands and feet is worsening. I know I need to stay calm for the baby, but how can I, with everything crumbling around me? People suggest hiring a private investigator or getting a divorce, but both are impossible. I'm on unpaid leave, every penny earmarked for my child. I feel trapped, unable to act, shackled by my circumstances. After a sleepless night, Ray called this morning. Her voice was shaky and she apologized repeatedly, her words unraveling a new, devastating truth. She's known for a while. My husband isn't cheating with Emma, but with our mother. The betrayal hit me like a truck. My mother, the person I should be able to trust most, was the one secretly meeting my husband. Their affair, calculated and deliberate, has shattered everything I thought I knew. Ray explained how she had noticed the pattern, my husband visiting our parents' house during times when Emma and my father weren't home. At first, she dismissed it as harmless, but the frequency became undeniable. Still, she stayed silent, unwilling to get involved, until she could no longer live with the guilt. Her apology did nothing to lessen the blow. The betrayal wasn't just from my husband or mother, but from Ray too, who knew and said nothing. My mother's silence since Ray's confession is deafening. No explanation, no remorse. Just an emptiness where our relationship used to be. My father has no idea. He's working long night shifts, unaware of the betrayal happening right under his nose. I want to tell him, to share the burden of the truth, but I can't bring myself to do it without concrete evidence. I've learned my lesson about acting on suspicion alone. Ray's reluctance to speak up makes more sense the more I think about it. She relies on my mother for childcare, a dependence that kept her silent even when she knew the truth. Her self-preservation is understandable, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. I feel abandoned by my entire family. This isn't the first time my mother has shattered our family. I was 11 when my parents briefly separated because of her infidelity. The wounds from that time never fully healed, and now she's ripped open old scars, making sure whatever was left of our family is obliterated. Her affair with my husband is a level of betrayal I could never have imagined. With all this swirling in my mind, my health is becoming more precarious. I have an appointment with my OB soon to discuss induction. My body is bearing the brunt of this stress, and I know I need to protect my baby, but every day is a battle just to get through. The comments and advice from strangers online have been one of the few sources of comfort, helping me hold on, even if just barely. And then, out of nowhere, my phone rang. It was my husband, his voice slurred and broken, drunk and apologetic. He said he was sorry, that he loved me, that he was coming home. He sounded like a hollow version of the man I once knew, his apologies empty, offering no solace. He turned his location back on, letting me track him as he drove home. But the questions about where he'd been and who he'd been with remain unanswered. I'm left here, waiting, wondering what will happen when he walks through the door. Will he confess? Will he continue to lie? I'm preparing myself for anything, though I know no amount of preparation will soften the blow of whatever comes next. My mother's silence, Ray's guilt, Emma's rage, they all weigh on me, crushing me under the enormity of it all. I don't know if I'll ever find peace in the midst of this storm. Divorce feels inevitable, but the logistics are overwhelming, and right now, my focus is on bringing my baby into the world safe. That's the only thing that matters. For now, I'm in limbo, waiting for clarity, for an end to this nightmare. I'll update when I can. To everyone who has listened, offered advice, or simply been there, thank you. You've given me a sliver of strength in this mess, and for that, I'm grateful. Time feels like it has slowed to a standstill, each minute dragging on as I try to navigate the fallout from Ray's confession. My mind is a whirlwind of questions and uncertainties, And my heart is a heavy ache that never subsides. The silence in the house is crushing, only broken by the occasional hum of an appliance or the ticking of the clock. I've been replaying every interaction, every word, every smile that now seems false in the harsh light of betrayal. It's like I'm living in a twisted version of my own life, a nightmare from which I cannot wake. I remember how it all started, how our marriage began to deteriorate. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when my husband and I were happy, genuinely happy. We used to talk late into the night, laugh over silly things, and share our dreams for the future. The baby I carry now was supposed to be part of that future, the culmination of our love. But somewhere along the line, everything changed. The connection we once had was replaced by distance, by secrets, by a growing void that neither of us acknowledged until it was too late. The first sign was when he turned off his location track. It seemed innocent at first. He said it was draining his battery, and I believed him. But then it became a habit. He started coming home later and later, his excuses flimsy and rehearsed. I could see the lies in his eyes, the way he avoided my gaze. But I told myself it was just work stress, that he was struggling and needed space. I tried to be understanding, to give him the benefit of the doubt, but every concession I made only seemed to push him further away. My mother, ever the meddler, had her own take on the situation. She said that men sometimes go through phases, that I should be patient, that things would get better. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that this was just a rough patch, that we would come out stronger on the other side. But her words, meant to comfort, now feel like a cruel joke. She knew what was happening. She knew, and yet she let me suffer, let me twist myself into knots, trying to save something she was actively destroying. I've been thinking a lot about my mother lately, about who she is, about the choices she's made. She wasn't always like this, or maybe she was, and I just never saw it. I remember her as a loving mother when I was little, always there with a hug or a smile, the kind of mother who baked cookies for school events and kissed scraped knees. But as I grew older, I started to see the cracks. The way she manipulated my father, the way she always had to be the center of attention, the way she would turn on people when they no longer served her purpose. I see it all so clearly now, and I wonder how I could have been so blind. The affair with my husband isn't just a betrayal. It's a revelation. It's forced me to see my mother for who she truly is, to acknowledge the selfishness that has always been there, lurking beneath the surface. She's a master manipulator, and I was her perfect victim, too eager to believe in the image she projected rather than the reality of who she is. I wonder if she even feels guilty, if she has any remorse at all, or if she's simply annoyed that her secret has come to light. Ray's role in all of this is complicated. I understand her need to protect herself, to keep her life from falling apart. She has her own family to think about, her own children who depend on her. But the fact that she knew and said nothing, that she let me spiral into despair while she held the truth, that's something I don't know if I can ever forgive. Her apologies feel hollow, empty words that do nothing to ease the pain. She chose her own comfort over my sanity, and while I understand it, it doesn't make it any easier to bear. And then there's Emma. I owe her an apology, but how do I even begin? How do I tell her that I accused her of something so vile, that I let my suspicions poison our relationship? She's innocent in all of this, and yet she's been dragged into the mess because of my desperation to find answers. I remember the look in her eyes when I confront the hurt, the anger, the disbelief. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me, and I don't blame her. I wouldn't forgive me either. The thought of facing my father is perhaps the hardest of all. He's a good man, a hard-working man who has always done his best for his family. He doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve to be lied to be made a fool of by the woman he loves. I want to tell him the truth, but I also want to protect him from the pain that truth will bring. He's been through enough, and the thought of adding to his burden is almost too much to bear. But he deserves to know, doesn't he? He deserves the chance to make his own choices, to decide what to do with the truth, even if it breaks his heart. My husband came home late last night. He stumbled through the door, reeking of alcohol, his eyes bloodshot and filled with something that might have been regret. He tried to talk to me, tried to explain, but his words were slurred and incoherent. He kept saying he was sorry, that he loved me, that he didn't mean for any of this to happen. I listened in silence, my heart a heavy, aching weight in my chest. I wanted to scream at him, to hit him, to make him feel even a fraction of the pain he's caused me, but I couldn't. I just stood there, numb, as he fell asleep on the couch. I don't know what to do next. Divorce seems inevitable, but the thought of going through with it is overwhelming. The logistics, the money, the custody arrangements, it's all too much to think about. And then there's the baby, the innocent life caught in the middle of this mess. I want to protect my child, to give them the love and stability they deserve. But how do I do that when my own life is in shambles? I've been reading through the comments and messages from strangers online, people who have taken the time to offer their support, their advice, their empathy. It's strange. Finding comfort in the words of people I've never met, but it helps. It makes me feel less alone. Like there's someone out there who understands, who cares. Some have suggested I record my husband, try to get proof of his infidelity, but I don't know if I have it in. I'm so tired of the lies, tired of the secrets, tired of the constant ache that has settled in my chest. I just want it all to be over. My focus now is on my baby. I have an appointment with my OB later this week, and I'm hoping to discuss an induction. The stress is taking a toll, and I know I need to do whatever it takes to keep my child safe. I've started packing a hospital bag, folding tiny clothes, and trying to imagine a future where it's just me and my baby, where we can start over, free from the lies and betrayal. It's a small glimmer of hope, a light in the darkness that surrounds me. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive my husband, my mother, or even Ray. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at my father without feeling the weight of the secret I'm keeping from him. But I do know that I have to keep going. For my baby, for myself. One day at a time. One step at a time. That's all I can do. To everyone who has listened, who has offered advice or simply been there, thank you. Your words have been a lifeline, a reminder that I'm not alone, even when it feels like the world is falling apart. I will update when I can. But for now, I'm focusing on surviving, on bringing my child into the world safely, on finding a way to heal. It won't be easy, and I know the road ahead is long, but I have to believe that there is still a future worth fighting, a future where my child and I can find peace and happiness, even if it's just the two of us.